world champions. This is your mental play. It's over. And the Kings have finally won it all. It's 7-10.
Woo! Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet. I am your host, Brandon Combs, joined as always by the Soup Boss. Boss, how we doing, bud?
Man, I tell you, I'm exhausted. I got so much stuff going on right now. I am so beat, and the fact that I'm sitting here watching this Lightning Blue Jackets game and the Bruins can't play until they're done. It's going to be 2 a.m. until I get to watch my Bees. So screw it. I'm up all night again, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I hope the Hawks aren't on that same ice tonight, man, because the Hawks aren't going to drop the puck 3 a.m.
They need 80.
They're going into the fourth overtime.
Yeah, 80. Yeah, going into the fourth overtime. You need an 87-minute turnaround. Fastest. 87 minutes you need to turn around between games. That's good. That's an interesting aspect of the bubble. Like what happens when you get an element of multiple overtimes. We're finally seeing it, but easily the playoff game of the year for the NHL. But
playoff game of the year, and we're only 2 games into the first round.
First round.
Unreal.
Technically first round.
All right. So anyway, we got a great show lined up for you guys today. We're going to talk some MLB. We are definitely going to get into our wide receiver debate. We're going to do way or no way, shop talk as always. So get those comments coming in. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know what you want to talk about, and we will definitely get to it for you. But first, Soup Boss, I am going to give you the floor because I know you are heated. I know you are upset. The Big Ten has shut down, and we will not. It does not look good for college football. So the floor is yours, sir.
I never get heated. I never get upset. Come on, man. What are you doing to me? No, listen.
You walked off the stage when I said Wayne Gretzky wasn't the greatest. You get heated every episode, sir.
Oh, man. First off, shout out Julia Avila. I wasn't going to wear this shirt until her fight, but I needed some energy tonight. That got me excited. If you don't know who the Raging Panda is, look her up. She will be the future women's UFC champion. But with that said, listen, we've got – I mean, I don't even know where to start with this because the more we hear of this, the crazier it gets. We had all these reports that the Big Ten wasn't going to be playing, that they voted that it wasn't going to happen as of yesterday. And then this morning they were like, no, absolutely not. We haven't even met and voted. So the Detroit Free Press and the Dan Patrick Show and all these other great sources look stupid. And then they turn around and they're like, we're going to have our vote later today. And then they have the vote and they're like, yeah, we don't even want to have it. And then sources come out saying they never even put in any plans or any thought processes about what it would take to even have a season. You're the Big Ten. Like Pac-12, fine. I swear they were just like, we just don't want to be the first. Like, but that still sucks. Like that Oregon's defense is probably one of the best defenses in the country. People don't know about it because of who they are, right? But you are the Big Ten, Ohio State, Michigan, whatever. But, I mean, you have one of the perennial champions year in and year out, and you didn't even make plans for anything. It is crazy. And now we've got this aspect where then the ACC and the SEC said, we're not changing a damn thing. You've got Nebraska, Ohio State, and Michigan, after the Big Ten said we are done, say we're going to still hold our practices. You got Frost out in Nebraska saying we're going to play no matter what. Big 12 hasn't said a damn thing, which is pissing me off. But here's my biggest issue. Out of all of them, out of all the issues with everything, and figuring out what aspect of the COVID or the breathing or the heart thing, which I think is overblown because we already knew about this with Erod up in Boston for the Red Sox. It's pertaining to not having testing done on a regular basis and catching it in time. The fact of the matter is this. NCAA, you have made sure that Manfred for the MLB now looks like a genius in terms of leading a league. You guys suck. You are pathetic. How you have said nothing. You have one of your leagues come out, one of your big leagues come out and say we're not playing football, and you haven't said a word? Nothing. You have your second one. You haven't said. This is all it takes. We understand the decision by the Big Ten and their leaders for being able to put the decision forward in order to do what they feel is best for their students, their players, and their coaches. We're going to continue to evaluate this process and continue to have conversations with them in the remaining conferences in order to see what we feel would be best for not only each division, but the NCAA football season moving forward, blah, 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 blah. I just pulled that out of my rear end. I didn't write that down. Nothing.
Look,
what garbage. And Manfred's over like, man, I'm looking pretty good right now. Pathetic.
Boss, breathe for a minute. Look, I'm in complete agreement with you. They look awful right now. The Big Ten is saying they're not going to play. The ACC and SEC say they're going to do everything they can to play. Rumor has it that the Big 12 is next to cancel their season. And I just look, the NCAA makes billions, as Michael Buckheiser likes to say. That's with a B. That's billions. And they don't need the money. But these kids deserve to play. These college student athletes deserve the opportunity to go out there and play the game that they love, the game that they're going to try to go pro in, and up their draft status. You are holding these guys back. So if you don't let them play, you need to let them go.
Go somewhere else.
And so
they need to go somewhere else.
Here's my proposal to NCAA teams that want to continue to play. I'm not talking to the UConns. I'm not talking to any of those teams that decide that they don't want to play. If you don't want to play,
UMass.
I understand it. I get it. It is what it is.
It's like the players who want to opt out. Let them opt out. That's fine.
Yeah. But for those teams that want to play, here's what I propose. No conferences. No conferences.
Hold on.
Out, put together a team, and form divisions. I'm all right if the players decide to go out and start their own players' union in college football.
They need to.
Years ago.
Start the process of that, man. It's not going to happen. They're going to have a players' union. It's happening.
If the Big Ten doesn't want to play, if the Penn State still wants to play, if Michigan still wants to play, if Michigan State still wants to play, go independent. Pull a Notre Dame. Go independent for a season. Yep. It is what it is. You'll still get games. You'll still get guys who want to go out there and play. Play.
It's an aspect of, we've heard it teased here with the SEC. They can't say it, but coaches in the MAC, which it's the MAC. So just like you said, you don't want to play, fine, don't play. But some coaches have come forward saying, we were reached out to by certain coaches in a certain division that everyone knows pertaining to our players about borrowing them for a year because they're looking at the potential of a super conference. Yeah. What is your thought process? Because like you just said, Big 12, now what you said that they're going to cancel it, I live right in the middle of Big 12 country. I'm right by Norman. And everything I'm hearing here internally is it's 50-50. It's not leaning one way or the other, but they don't know what to do. But it's already been stated that.
Yeah, Michael Buckheiser broke this morning. He came on RTF Sports Network, said he was talking to his former coach over at Kansas State. And it looks like that the Big 12 is going to be next. So he was kind of breaking some news there with some inside information. So, I mean, I don't know if it's real. I don't know if the Big 12 plans on it. But, look, for all of these conferences, I don't care if all of them shut down. The teams that want to play, go out and play.
The players, too.
Cool. The Big Ten said that they weren't going to play. And some of their teams responded today by having practice, like you said. So
yep, they literally it would how much that would be like you and I going into work when our employer said we are absolutely not having anyone show up in the office anymore, and you and I, instead of working from home, just walked in our office today, two big middle fingers, we're just like, we don't care. Like how ballsy was that? Yeah. But it proves the passion of these coaches and players who are saying, listen, we want to play. And you hear other players coming out right now, too. There's an aspect of, well, does this mean we go home? Because I told you, I know students at Oklahoma State that know as of Thanksgiving they're going home. Some of these players going to college gets them off the streets. It gets them out of trouble. And here's the thing. I know we're all in this panic about the COVID aspect. Going home puts them at more risk of not only catching it, but not having the protocols to help them get healthy if they do catch it. This heart and lung condition everyone's talking about is what happens if you get it and you don't find out until it's too late and you're not taking care of yourself and it hits your body. If you get tested positive, they can take care of you. Like you said, NCAA makes billions. These schools make hundreds of millions. They're going to take care. This is free health care for these young individuals. Let them play. Give them the health care. They're more safe being in this. This is garbage to me that the Big Ten didn't even put together a plan to play.
Absolutely.
Ohio State is your crown jewel. And you didn't try? That's horse garbage.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you at all. NCAA looks awful here. I do disagree that Manfred looks good because I don't think that guy ever looked good. But
they make him look here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's all he wants.
If they're a dumpster fire, he's the trash that's in the dumpster that's burning. Basically, how that one.
He's like, I'm the plastic that doesn't fully go away. I'll still find a way to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of Manfred, let's get into some MLB talk here. Let's talk about so the big story has been the Cardinals, man. They just can't get on the field. They are scheduled to play on Friday. They have already missed 13 games, 14 tonight, and they just can't seem to get on the field. And if you can't get on the field come Friday, I don't know what you do. Because there's no way possible that you're going to be able to make up 20 games. You're just not. I mean, you'd have to add 3 weeks to the season. So, so I've heard talk about, are they going to go by win percentage? I've heard Major League Baseball has floated around that idea. Look, I'm going to freaking tell them to kick rocks. If this team goes 20-20 with a 500 win percentage, and they sneak into the playoffs at 20-20, you've got to be kidding me. You've absolutely got to be kidding me.
What if you sneak in that 12-8?
Yeah. Well, right now, like I said this earlier. Right now, at 3-2 or 2-3. I'm sorry, is what their record is. They played 5 games. They're still 4 games better than the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's so gross.
Games, and they're 4.5 games behind the Cardinals, who've only played 5. That's pretty impressive. I'll give them that. But
it's impressive.
They did it to themselves. Going out to parties, doing what they wanted to do, not taking this shit seriously.
Oh.
They did this to themselves.
It's almost like someone said that you can't make these players not do this top to bottom. Yes, you're going to have some players to do it, but you had to have something in place to know that this was going to happen.
Yeah, but they also need to have repercussions, and there has been no repercussions for them.
So what do you want? What do you want to give them for repercussions?
If they can't play this weekend, I would make them forfeit the season.
That's and that exactly annihilates the whole aspect of what we talked about of having a balanced season somehow compacted into 60 games. And I'll give you the exact reason why you can't do that. Because we were sitting here talking junk, whether it was on this show or you and I just talking directly, and we were talking their season picks. And who do we keep using as the prime example of the garbage in the league?
I always say
we use the Miami Marlins as the garbage in the league. They were the first one to have it. We threw out, of course it's Miami.
But
of
they
course
got
it's this joke team. What did they do? They came out and they won 5 straight. At one point, and they still might be right now based on percentage, leading the NL East for crying out loud.
They only missed 7 games, Soup. They only missed 7 games. You had to prepare. The Cardinals have missed. That's half of what the Cardinals have missed.
You're not in a bubble.
Nope.
You didn't put your players in a bubble. You have a team that's in a certain size. You're traveling on multiple days. To your credit, I will continue to bring that up, to cities around people for multiple days and not one day. You had to know something this was going to happen. These guys went to a freaking club, Soup. They went to a club. You keep saying this like that's a damn shock.
No, but that's their fault.
What did the pitcher on the Indians do?
They didn't get this from the hotel. They didn't get this from the staff. They didn't get this because some delivery guy came and gave them food and he was asymptomatic and gave it to them. They got this from going out to the freaking club.
Yeah, because they're egotistical players.
No, the Cleveland Indians are the perfect example. What did they do? They're in Chicago. 2 of their pitchers break protocol and decide to go out and do whatever. Go out and eat and hang out with friends and do what they were doing. And so what did they do? They said, look, you know what? Fine. You want to do that? Rent a car, drive your asses back to Cleveland, and quarantine for 14 days. And then after you quarantine for 14 days, maybe we'll bring you back on the team.
Good for them. 2 players. Whoopity friggin' do. But you missed the whole point. You missed the whole point. What did those 2 players do? They did what they wanted to do. The St. Louis Cardinals players did what they wanted to do.
Yes.
The Miami Marlins as an organization, as players, knew what protocols were, knew what they should be doing, and still said, we'll do whatever we want to do.
That's fine.
We are talking about grown adults who will do whatever they want to do. We've had this debate because
I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is fine. Do what you want to do, but there's repercussions. So now you did what you wanted to do. You're a grown-ass man. You're a millionaire grown-ass man. And you guys went out and did what you wanted to do. Now what's the price? If you can't get back on the field, the price is your season. And that is your fault. And I guarantee you, you're not going to have this problem again from any other team after that happens.
So it's your season. So in which you brought up the stat at what, 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, wherever they're at, they're still 4.5 games better than the junk pile that we completely missed when we picked on all the other piles.
They're not better than the Cubs or Brewers.
To play the junk team even more and have more of an advantage.
They're not better than the Brewers, Cubs, or Reds. They're not going to get back into this division.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that those teams, then, what are you going to do? Pull the Cardinals straight out. Now the rest of the teams, especially in that division that's playing them more, those games go away. You have to make those games up. What are you going to probably do?
So you take
series. So you're going to give them more games against the Pittsburgh Pirates?
No, what you do is you take the teams that the Cardinals are about to play, and they've already started doing this. They did it with the Marlins. They did it with the Phillies. They did it with the they started taking those teams that were out and sitting out and taking their opponents and playing them against each other. You do the same thing here. You could do the same thing. You could absolutely take. All right, so say, hey, they're 60 games. We've got to take their opponents, and now what you guys have to do is play double headers against each other. Instead of playing doubleheaders against the Cardinals, you guys are going to play doubleheaders against each other. That's just how it is. So if the Cubs are supposed to be in St. Louis this weekend, or St. Louis is supposed to be in Chicago this weekend, Chicago goes to wherever their next opponent is, whether it's Cincinnati or Cleveland or the White Sox, wherever, and they play split doubleheaders. The Sox play, the Cubs play against the team that they were supposed to play, and then they play a second game. That's just how you're going to have to do it, because you cannot – there's no way they're going to make up this many games. It's 3 weeks of games. You can't make it up if you don't get back on the field this week.
I literally painted this picture out that this crap was going to happen. I literally painted the picture out. But you can't just turn on and just tell teams, well, now you're out. Now you're eliminated. Now, I do think it's funny because you had – what was it that you shared with me? This is the way we should do it. Once you get COVID, you're out. And the last that's the way we do this. If you guys are going to do this anyway, let's see who has the testicular fortitude to last the longest.
I mean, but at the time, I mean, there was 2 and then a third team that had gotten COVID. Since then, I mean, to be honest with you, baseball's kind of contained this thing. It got out of hand at first with the Marlins and the Phillies and the Cardinals. But other than that, we haven't had a problem. And the Phillies and the Marlins have both gotten back to baseball 1 week after they were testing positive. Now, the Cardinals, too, from what I'm hearing, is that not every player – there's a lot of players on there that don't have it. So you know what? Force them, if that's the case, force them to take the players who don't have COVID, who are testing negative for COVID, call up some of your minor leaguers and force them to put some sort of product on the field.
Now, they're instead of just saying you're done, you're screwed, get the hell out, you're done.
Cardinals.
That's what you do. You make them do just that. See, now that's actually putting your head and putting the thought process in with the league.
Making them forfeit, making them put their AAA team on the field.
How many times have we seen players that come up in AAA that get a chance and they actually do halfway decent?
Players, not full teams. Soup, come on.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are pretty much a AAA freaking team right now. They get to play. What does it freaking matter? You don't mess up with what's going on. You don't tell a team. You don't do everything in the current situation to say we're going to put protocols in place to try to make it happen, but we know people are going to get sick, and we're going to do these 7-inning games, and we're going to make the Marlins play 27 times in 23 straight days with 4 doubleheaders. And we haven't even talked about the fact that how lucky MLB is that they have not had any rainouts. Are you serious? This blows my mind. They haven't had any rainouts yet. It's shocking.
It's the middle of July and August. I mean, come on.
I know. So come the end of August and early September, as the season is trying to come to a close, they're going to have rain. Now you're going to have – what are you going to do? What if the Marlins get rained out for 4 games in a row? Well, I guess you got 8 straight days of doubleheaders. But they have to figure out something. You don't just tell a team you don't get to go, but how big of a penalty is that? But at the same time – if you got to put out a AAA team, you put out a AAA team.
Yeah,
good for the players. We talk about players who in college that want to play. Give them a chance. You got guys at AAA that are working their asses off that want to play, and that's what you do. I think that's a great idea. St. Louis, you didn't take care of your players. You didn't tell your players to be mature and be smart. Now they got to go home, and now you make your AAA players play. And then who knows? We get some great guy comes up. I always look mad, bud, when I have to deal with battling with Mr. Combs here on crap.
Look, I don't care what they do. They need to get them on the field. And if it means making a AAA team, that's fine. I get you're going to have rainouts, but see that again. The Marlins, the Phillies, and the Cardinals all did this after things happened that shouldn't have been happening. So they did it to themselves. So the fact that the Marlins have to go play 27 games in 23 days, that's on them.
But you keep bringing up the Phillies. What did they do?
The Phillies were having positive tests. They had 2 guys who were seen at a party.
Two guys, so just like the Indians in the aspect, but they did everything to not only – do the right thing to contain it in every way, reprimanded them, and then they put together protocols so they came out with negative tests for multiple days.
Now at some point, you're going to be like the Marlins. You're going to have to play 27 games in 23 days, and that's your punishment. If you go out and you perform well and you overcome that 27 games in 23 days, hey, good for you. But that's your punishment. And same thing for the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to have to play like 40 games in 20 days or something like that. If they don't,
and you don't think those AAA players have been dying for a chance to prove themselves are going to be like, I'll play 6 games in a day. Just put me out there.
The Cubs and the Brewers and the White Sox and the Twins are licking their chops to try to get at the Cardinals. In the midst of that 27 games in 23 days.
And if I'm a bunch of AAA players that are coming out going, I wonder if we can stay ahead of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
AAA still, and you're not on the, you know what I mean? Like you're still. There's a reason why you're in AAA. You have 1 or 2 guys at the AAA level that could probably play at the major league level, but the rest of them are still at the AAA level. That's why they're there. And the 13-3 Pirates are a perfect example. Right now, I take the Dartmouth varsity team versus. At any rate, so also in baseball, we had a little brawl here.
Man,
did you see this brawl?
No, not only did I see it, but I've seen every breakdown from it. I don't know if we're allowed to say the name, so I won't. But maybe next time I will. But there's a guy that does great breakdowns. He goes through each thing and what they say and what they're talking. Like, fantastic. Yeah. He broke that whole thing down. Holy cow. Like,
yeah.
What the hell is that coach on Houston even doing?
First of all,
like even in the heat of it, I get the aspect of players. I can't stand when people like on Sports Soup, we've had a couple people that are like bunch of grown-ass men acting like little kids. Listen, these are men who are told you go out there, you do better than everyone else. You get a big contract. You better be worth it all. We need wins. We need tickets normally, but they're told to go out and compete. In the NFL, they're told to go out and hit guys on the field and kill them. In the NBA, they're told you got to be the best. We tell them they have to be these super competitive people, and then are like, Oh my God, I can't believe that they acted that way. Well, yeah, it's an emotional freaking sport. All the sports are emotional in that aspect, and they're told you have to go up and overly compete.
Here's what I have to say, and I'm looking right into the camera, and I hope that all of our fans who are watching and anybody who wants to share this, make this damn thing go viral.
Everyone.
Alex Cinchon, you're a pussy. You are a pussy, and what you did to Laureano, what I would have done instead of suspending you for 20 games, I would have sentenced you to 5 minutes in an octagon. That's what I would have done. You
with Julia Avila right here.
You called him over. You
30 seconds with her, baby.
Yeah. You hiked up your pants like you were you were about to go, and then you stepped back and pushed all your guys in front of them, and then you stepped even further back after everybody was going at it, and you're seen as the only one not touching another player. You, sir, are a bitch. Unbelievable. If I'm watching that video and I'm in the Houston freaking dugout, I'm freaking making him go out to the next lineup card. And I'm going to say, hey, A's, we're sending Cintron out there. Send Laureano out there. And let him knock his ass out. Unbelievable.
No, it's absolutely. Like, listen, here's the other aspect of it. And I applaud MLB, and I know people are going to think it's hilarious to applaud the MLB for doing anything against the Astros, and people's feelings different than mine in every way, shape, or form. But at least with this aspect, they said, hey, listen, with the aspect of COVID and what's going on, we get things are going to be heated, but you have to do everything to not have fights. Now, when you are a player, what I just talked about, and you're trained and taught, you have to do everything to just be the best. That brings in a lot of emotions. Do you know how much of that you have to do as a coach? Zilch. You know what you're supposed to do as a coach? You're supposed to lead, train, and teach. And you're supposed to be the damn example. He's over there, like you said, mouthing off, steps up and hikes up his pants like, I'm going to take my belt off, boy, and hike up. And he talked about his mom. Like, look, come on. You're your mom really? You went with the your mom thing. You're an elder coach.
Real quick, Stephen Jean, yes, this is actually live. Which
That's
country
my
are
brother.
you in?
That's my brother. He's stationed in South Korea in the Army. So proud of him. So normally he can't be up for it.
Much respect.
That's my little brother.
Joining the show. Thank you for watching. We are live right now. So, hey, anything you want to add to the show, we'll definitely put it up there, man.
Definitely.
Thank you for your service.
Stevie. By the way, real quick, Blue Jackets and Tampa Bay Lightning are still playing fourth overtime.
Yeah, 10 minutes to go. I'm watching the game as well. So then the last thing I want to get to in baseball before we get to our wide receivers, which
well, hold on real quick. Now, on the flip side, what's his face? The player, he got a 6-game suspension.
He did.
You think he should get 6 in a 60 game?
I think he's going to appeal and he's going to get 3.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I think he'll end up getting 3, and I think Cintron will sit for the full 20, and he should.
He better.
Again,
he better not even appeal that.
I would tell him that, hey, look, here's what you do. If you don't want 20 games, you have to sign with the UFC, and you have to go fight Laureano in the ring and let him go. Or
let this girl right here. Let this girl right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
2 minutes with Julia, the Raging Panda. That's all she needs.
So the next thing I want to get into is the best and the worst of MLB. Before we do that, Stephen G says 09:30 in the morning on Wednesday for me.
Yep.
Oh, hey, sir, if you could do me a favor and just send me the winning lottery numbers from tonight, that would be amazing. That's how it works. But,
you're freaking weird.
The Blue Jackets Lightning game is crazy, says John.
It is, JJ.
It is. I've got
these goalies. I feel before we came on, we were talking about this. Insane. I feel horrible for the goalie that ends up losing this because they are making ridiculous saves. This isn't where either team just can't get a shot. They are rapid fire shooting this puck at the nets, and they are both just making near Hasek style saves. Not all the way to the greatest goalie ever, but.
All right. So best and worst through the first third of the MLB season. I'll go first. So I'm going to go with my best first. My best is absolutely the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins. Sorry. This team, even with the COVID stuff, they're shocking the hell out of me right now.
Yeah, they're blowing everyone's mind.
They're 7-3. They are atop of the NL East, even though obviously the Braves have more wins and they've played more games. But the Marlins are just out of their mind. Do I think that they're going to be there at the end of 60? I don't. But right now they are a good team. I didn't realize how many veterans that they had actually signed. But they've got a good looking team, and I mean, I just ultimately I don't think they have enough to hang around. With the rest of them, but they've been doing good. Another one of my best is obviously I got to throw out my boys in there, man. The Cubs 10-3. They've looked hot coming out of the gate. The DH has helped them tremendously. Like I said that it would. And then obviously I mean you got the Yankees who look like what we thought they were going to look like. But yeah, so that's my best. What do you got for a best?
So for best, I mean you got to almost in the same way what you just did. I got to go with one of my teams, even though it's not my homer team, but my AL World Series pick, which a lot of people just couldn't believe. I even would dare say the Minnesota Twins. And right now, even though it's only a half game, they're up on in the AL Central. Great division, by the way. The Tigers, absolutely, I think, shocking a lot of people. Only half game behind the Twins, but still the Twins are leading that out. The Indians are right there. The other great one I'd go with, the good that I'm impressed with outside of the Cubs with that aspect, is the NL West as a whole. Listen, even the Giants, who started terrible, are starting to do better. I know they're technically 5 games back, but right now a lot of people don't want to play with them. Yastrzemski is just shades of his grandfather. Like, it's insane. The Rockies, the Dodgers, who proved me wrong, the Padres, like, that division is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Doesn't Tatis look like he's going to overtake Trout for the best player in the game?
Oh, well,
phenomenal right now. Absolutely phenomenal.
It sucks that the MLB doesn't know how to actually market their best players, so it would be valuable for him. But yeah, people that know the sport, Mike, and how about the White Sox, who just got to be punching themselves in the nuts day in and day out for giving him up for big game shields? Like,
that's something that, man. Tatis. Man, oh man! So funny story is I play. I've told you guys before. I play on a site where on Facebook where we could win autograph memorabilia and stuff. And probably about 3 to 4 months ago, I won a Fernando Tatis Jr. autographed rookie jersey. And my first thoughts was like, man, I'm not. I don't think I'd ever frame this and keep it. Maybe I'll just.
Oh man, I would have taken that off your hands.
I tried putting it up and selling it for, I think it was like $250, and nobody bit, so I still have it, and there ain't no way I'm getting rid of that thing. That thing might be worth $1,000 by the end of the season.
You better not invite me up to your house because I have to have a couple Sammys and everything up there. It's gonna go missing.
I've got a bunch of them hidden. Don't worry. But yeah, no, Tatis looks absolutely amazing. Who do you got for your worst?
So I've got to go with, listen, I didn't pick them as the 7th in the AL because I thought that they were like going to blow anyone away or just because of the homer aspect. But part of it was we didn't fully know yet when we made those picks if Erod was going to be able to be in it. I thought it was going to be good that Chris Sale wasn't going to be a distraction. But, man, the Red Sox have just been an absolute abysmal. Now, they've had some recent fun games. I get it. If they go on a run, great. That's fantastic. I mean, it is just abysmal. You can't watch that staff, the pitching staff, and just not want to puke in your beer every single second. And I'm sorry, buddy, but the work next to we already talked about it. The Pirates, but they're a AAA team. When I looked at their stuff, but the other worst, man, I almost wanted to give you the credit because you almost sold me. You used car salesman me with the Joe Madden thing. The Angels, you are wasting Mike Trout's career day in and day out. That team is horrible.
Yeah, they look atrocious right now. So they're part of my worst. I mean, you could put Pittsburgh, in that category. Obviously, the Mets are really disappointing so far. I thought that they were going to have a sneaky good team and compete for that division, and man, was I wrong. I had the Angels in the World Series, and it doesn't look good right now. Can they turn it around? They absolutely have the ability to turn it around. They're not out of it yet. But that AL West looks so tough. And then you have to play the NL West, which looks even tougher. I just, I don't know
Best
if they
division
can
in
pull
baseball.
themselves out of this hole. But I have to give my worst to the St. Louis Cardinals and then the two pitchers from the Cleveland Indians. You freaking idiots, man. You guys knew what was going on over in St. Louis. You knew. You knew what had happened with the Marlins. You knew what had happened with the Phillies. You knew what had happened. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how hard it is. You're making millions of dollars. And we had this conversation last week about how I don't feel athletes are overpaid, but you're still making millions of dollars to play a game. And for 60 days, a team that's probably not going to the playoffs, for 60 days, you have to just chill out, go to the ballpark, play the game of baseball, and you guys are pitchers. So once every 5 days, are you guys actually playing?
Yep.
And you can't stop yourself for 60 days? Same with the St. Louis Cardinals. Screw you guys. Either you put on your AAA team or you forfeit your season. Those are your two options. Take it or leave it. You guys are absolutely the worst of the MLB in the first third of the season. Unbelievable.
Hey, speaking of athletes being paid too much, just real quick, kind of disappointed in our fans on the Twitter poll that we had put up. So I'm expecting much better. We had a dip in people, but when it came to our professional sports players paid too much, 100% they're not. Supply and demand with the vote. We had, yes, it's a game, no supply and demand, and it's complicated. It was our first three option, and 100% no, they're not paid too much, supply and demand.
Yeah, so look, you guys out there, just for you guys to give you guys a little context of the show. I know we're a young show. We're starting to grow viewers. We're starting to get out there. We're getting, a lot more interactions and stuff like that. But for a show like this to succeed, and for those of you who love us and join us every week, we need the interaction. We need the Twitter polls. We need the likes. We need the shares. We need all the love that you guys can give us to just be there for us. We depend on you. We do this for you. Right now, we do this for free. This isn't something that we get paid to do. We do this 2 hours every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday because we enjoy it, because we love it, and because we love you guys. And we're trying to bring you guys the best content that we absolutely can. So please subscribe, like, share, vote on the Twitter polls. If you're on there and just scrolling through, just, type in Triple Shot Sports. It doesn't take very long.
At 3 Shot Sports, real simple.
Yeah. At 3 Shot Sports on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us on YouTube when we're live. The Triple Shot Sports on YouTube. If you miss any part of the show, you can find it there. You can find us on our RTF Sports Network, YouTube and Facebook pages. So, anything you guys could do. Heck, another thing that you guys could do that I've pointed out to my girl, if one of you guys is watching, tell your kid to log on real quick. Or run over to, watch us for 20 minutes on YouTube, watch us for 20 minutes on our Facebook page, watch us for 20 minutes on the RTF Facebook page. Whatever you got to do, that's all stuff that numbers that help us out and help us grow. So please, please, please like, share, do whatever you got to do.
And sharing just comes, please share. And on YouTube, if you subscribe, you can't be live. I'm so proud that Stevie, my little younger brother, is live right now with us. But he's talked about how he can't always be here live. And I said, that's okay. On YouTube, you can set it'll notify you when we're live, but it'll notify you when you're done, we're done. And you can watch it at any time. I go back and watch it just to take notes on some things. We're really working hard behind the scenes, even outside of these 6 hours on. Brandon and I, Mr. Combs and I, we're doing a lot behind the scenes. We're really trying to make this important, but we need you guys to share and get that out, subscribe, talk about it. And we literally have this segment, Shop Talk, for you. It doesn't even have to be about sports. we love a lot of different things. If you want to know what our greatest friggin' Star Wars movie is, which one we'll talk about it, even though Star Trek is far better than Star Wars, as we all know. But we need you guys. We need you guys.
Yeah.
So at 3 Shot Sports, the number 3 Shot Sports on both Instagram and on Twitter. Look for us at Triple Shot Sport Podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the bell, set that up, and then of course the RTF Sports Network and the Triple Shot Network on Facebook.
Your brother here brings up a good point. Every conversation about sports at work in the motor pool, I bring up Sports Soup and Triple Shot.
Thank you, buddy.
Mention it to Sonny. Say, hey, the other night these guys on Triple Shot were talking about this. We all talk sports with our friends
all the time.
That's why we're here. That's the only reason why you're watching right now is because you love sports. You love to hear us yell at each other. So just you're talking
yell at us
with a friend. Just bring us up. Yell at us. We'll definitely put you on the comment section. We'll definitely bring you up on sports on Shop Talk. And hell, if you keep going with us, we'll bring you on the show.
We're talking about the best comment of the week, getting a segment section with us. Think about that aspect. We want people to grow, so we get different people on here. No offense to any of our listeners, but if we have the exact same 1 or 2 people on every single week, we want more. Grow this. Be a part of it, and you can be the part of something big, but we need you.
All right, so we're going to take a quick timeout here, and then we are going to get into our wide receivers discussion, and I promise you in about a minute and a half, Soup Boss is going to lose his mind on me, so stay tuned for that.
Jeez, here we go.
What's going on, Triple Shot Sports family? This is Brandon Combs, host of the best podcast on the planet. That's the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Be sure to join myself and Soup Boss Chad Lounder live for 2 hours. Yes, I said 2 hours every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page and YouTube. And if you miss any part of the show, you can hear us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on your drive home at 5 p.m. Eastern on rtfsportsnetwork.com. All right, guys, so we are back. And
real quick, 2 minutes to go in fourth overtime. These guys are still going. They look like wet napkins out there. They are, and yet they're still going at it. If you want to put something next to us, that Lightning Blue Jacket game is just
what's the most overtimes? Do you know offhand what's the most overtimes ever played in an NHL playoff game?
I don't.
I think 5 might be a record. I'm not sure, but I've never seen one go 5.
This is insane. It's insane.
But, so we're gonna get into our next segment here, and it's the top 10 wide receivers according to Combs and Soup Boss. We've already done our quarterback, which I got yelled at a lot, and then we did our running back, which Soup Boss got yelled at a lot. And now we're getting into wide receivers. And
so hot.
Soup Boss, who do you not have in there? Because we were talking about this before the show. There are about 20 wide receivers that you can make cases for to be in the top 10. This one was probably the hardest of the top 10 lists that we've done.
Oh, easily. I've got 4 drafts right now. I feel like Ric Flair with the 4 horsemen right now, by the way. But I've got 4 drafts. I have a red, black, and blue pen as I've edited it. I've sat here and how we talk about how we fight each other. I fought myself on half of this. This was the hardest top 10 list I've ever put together because it's in dynamics of how good they've been, but how they're going into the season, what they have around them. We're taking the thing. There were 6 guys that are not at this moment, not in my top 10, that at one point were in my top 10 doing this. Like,
Brandon Jr., stop drinking. I know you're 16, but stop with the alcohol. Julian Edelman is not a top 10 wide receiver. He's not even top 20.
Now he's one of my 13 that's not in the top 10.
Yeah.
Because of his value.
Top 10.
Can I give a quick – we're going to do our top 10. We're going to do who's not in there, but can I give a quick honorary mention here? Go Cardinals. Attaboy. We'll keep this up. Go Cardinals. You're not getting kicked out of the league. They're going to come in with a AAA team. They're going to find some way to upset the Cubbies.
Real quick, because I know your brother was watching the show, and I don't know how long he has, and I hope that he's still watching. So I don't know how much you've watched Stephen Jean, but I too am a veteran.
Yep.
I'm a Marine, and the shirt that I'm actually wearing today is for guys like you who are out there and serving. It's red, and it stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. So, sir, thank you for your service, and you stay safe out there and come home safe.
I'm proud of him. Trust me. He was one of these people. He didn't first want to go to the military, but he's got a young family. He looked at his situation in his life, and he said, "You know what? I can make a lot of things better by going out and doing this." And he's become a pretty proud young man, and I'm proud of him. So, 100%. Thank you for that, sir, on that mention in your service as well. But can I give an honorary mention too, because I put Lamar Jackson in my top 10 for running backs last week because I think he's a dynamic two-way player. He's not in it, but come on, let's at least give some credit to the fact that Christian McCaffrey has had 80, 107, and 116 catches over the last 3 years.
If you would have put
and
Christian
over
McCaffrey
1,000 yards.
in this list,
No,
I would have made you do this episode by yourself.
No, I don't have him in there. But I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, the fact that he rushed for so much and over 1,000 yards and touchdowns, and then he caught 116 passes. Think about that. I know he's the only weapon, but 116 passes for a wide receiver is dynamic. So just an honorary mention.
Give me three other names, three actual wide receivers
that are not
who you don't have in there.
Man, are you right? Oh man. 3 receivers I do not have in my top 10. God, this is Jarvis Landry, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, who I think is better than Odell Beckham Jr. He's not in my top 10.
He's not in mine either. Kenny
Golladay, who, depending on the health of Matthew Stafford, and I'm trying to go for mid-range shockers here, not high. He's not in my top 10.
Yeah, not mine either.
Mike Evans is not in my top 10 wide receiver list.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Nope. Mike Evans is not in my top 10 because his yards and touchdowns were amazing last year, but his catches were not. His percentage of the catches were even worse. And here's the problem. Yes, Tom Brady's going in there, but there's a couple issues. One, there's a guy named Gronk. Trust me, as a New England Patriots fan, as much as you think you know the Brady-Gronk connection from watching it outside of New England, he will find a way to throw it to Gronk in every situation he can. He loves Gronk a little too much. And I don't blame him, but he loves him too much. That's going to take a lot from that big guy going down the field type of mentality. And here's the other thing. Godwin, think about Godwin's body build, the routes he runs and everything. If it wasn't Gronk, who was it? It was the Edelmans. It was the Welkers. It was the Deion Branches. Godwin is going to actually probably have a better season than he did last year, which is going to cut into Evans' numbers. And Gronkowski is going to have better. And let's not forget, O.J. Howard is probably going to have a game where he randomly because we saw that with the Patriots. He'll have 9 catches, 140-something yards, and 2 touchdowns. And the other 3 receivers I just talked about are going to end up having mediocre games. I think Mike Evans actually drops.
I'm not going to yell at you too much for that.
Because I came with proof.
I'll give you 3 names. I don't have Stephon Diggs in my top 10. I do not have Keenan Allen in my top 10.
Neither do I.
All right. Are you sitting down?
I swear.
I
swear to everything. If you take DeAndre Hopkins out of your top 10, I will find you and I will eat your soul alive.
I do not have DeAndre Hopkins in
my top 10. Son of a bitch! What is the matter with you? I don't care who's throwing to him. That is the best damn wide receiver in the NFL.
Kyler Murray is throwing to him.
I know. That's why he's not my number 1. Spoiler alert.
He's not.
He's the best wide receiver in football.
No, he's not. And he's not even a top 10. So, getting into our top 10.
So damn delusional.
You know who's Jared Parrott.
God!
All right, bye. Look, I had to go. So we started talking about how this was a very tough list. It was tough to go through.
It's not tough to put DeAndre Hopkins in your top 10. You could have put him 10th, and I still would have at least given you some sort of credit.
Nope. So, at number 10,
You're wrong. I don't care at this point.
I have Allen Robinson of the Chicago Bears at number 10. He was injured a lot in Jacksonville. He got healthy with the Bears, and he had an outstanding season last year, even with that garbage can that's been throwing to him. He put up really good numbers last year. He's back to his normal status of what Jacksonville thought he was going to be. He's a stud. And when Nick Foles thrown to him, you go ahead and breathe all you want. With Nick Foles thrown to him this year, I think he's going to have an even better season. And so I have Allen Robinson as number 10. Supas, who's your number 10?
Hey, we're going into fifth overtime here, by the way. My number 10 bothered myself in it just because of the fact that, similar to Zeke, I was proven wrong, and I was actually in this aspect proven wrong by Jerry Jones in his trade for him. Yeah, thank you, Jared. Hey, Jared and I actually agree on something here. Attaboy. That's wicked awesome. I have at number 10, I have Amari Cooper. And listen, Amari Cooper is one hell of a wide receiver, and I admitted it. When he was traded by Jerry for a first-round pick, I said, you are an idiot, Jerry Jones. Like, look at what's going. He's going to get worse. He's got some type of attitude problem, and he's been the opposite. He is the only reason, probably next to Zeke, but on the wide receiver level, why Dak Prescott can march around thinking that he's a great quarterback, which, by the way, if you put him into your top 10, and I didn't even have him in my top 10 for quarterback list. But here's the problem, is that Gallup got better and better and better as the year went, and I am a Longhorns fan. And let me tell the world right now, the teams that did not select CeeDee Lamb and picked other wide receivers in front of him in this draft gave absolutely every reason for the rest of this nation to be so tired of hearing Cowboys Nation when they root the hell on this guy. And he's not on my top 10 because he's a rookie, but CeeDee Lamb is going to be a mega star. And he is going to start to take away those catches. So Amari Cooper last year was probably a top 5 wide receiver, but man, Gallup's getting better. Zeke is healthy. And CeeDee Lamb is just going to be a superstar. So that's going to drop him down to the top 10. And heck, next year, he may not even be in the top 10 at all.
Yeah. No, I think we're about to do the same thing that we did at running back because I have Amari Cooper at number 9. Amari Cooper, 26 years old. And not only is he a solid wide receiver, but he's got a quarterback who is coming into a contract year, who thinks he's worth a ton of money and has a ton to prove. And he is going to use the hell out of Amari Cooper. And so that's why I have Amari. I think Amari Cooper is going to be a top 10 wide receiver this season. I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. And I have him at probably about 1,500 yards receiving this year. And maybe
I'll put him that high.
Catching over 100 passes this year because I think they're going to use the hell out of him. I really do. So I have him at number 9. Who's your number 9, boss?
My number 9 is Devontae Adams out of Green Bay. And I know that hurts a lot of people. But here's the thing about Devontae Adams. You got to remember, he had a pretty narrow toe injury last year that kind of messed him up a little bit.
Yep.
And his numbers were still were still dominant. And the other reason why they were dominant is because the Packers don't know how to put great weapons around Aaron Rodgers. I'm not high on him like a lot of other people are, but you've got to give him the credit in the fact that he tends to have one or two great players around him on the offense, but no one really – he makes these friggin' out-of-nowhere names similar a la Brady all of a sudden become great fantasy players just because of the fact that he has no one else to throw to. And Adams, if he can stay healthy – and I remember with some of my other lists, I said, if you were injured, I can't put you in. Though he was injured, he came back and still had a top 10, potentially top 15 wide receiver season. And I think if he could stay healthy, because toe things are weird where you don't hear guys having multiple years in a row with it. I think he'll be fine this year as long as he stays healthy. I mean, Rodgers, and think about the aspect here with Rodgers. They go out and drafted Love. It's obvious that pissed Rodgers off. So what is Rodgers going to do? He's going to go to his best guy, and he's just going to absolutely hurl the shit out of that ball and go after Adams. So I think, and what's crazy is at one point in this list, because of that, I think I got myself too hyped up, and I had Adams as number 4 at one point on my list on one of my earlier drafts. And I had to check myself because it's still the Packers, and it's still – they have those games against your team, the Bears, multiple games where Aaron just doesn't know how to friggin' deal with that Bears defense. It's going to be crap games for Adams in that aspect, but he's his only weapon. He's going to be top 10.
Yeah. No, it is a tough pill to swallow, but again, this was a long list of great wide receivers. There are a lot of great wide receivers in the NFL right now. It's
insane. And
I have Devontae Adams on my list, but I've got him a little bit higher, and we'll get to that in a minute. Who do you have at number 8, boss?
So number 8, this is where I might get my first shocked reaction out of you. But in the aspect, again, we brought it up with Devontae Adams with injury. This one with the injury, it didn't seem to hamper him too much last year. But it was enough where for his skill, this is not a good injury to have. And so he may end up having a top 3 season. But Tyreek Hill, wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs, I know Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. But there's a lot of weapons on that team. And when your skill as a wide receiver is sheer speed and the ability to cut at different ways and just completely annihilate that defense that's covering you, when it's a hamstring injury, those just don't heal real easily. They really don't. They find ways out of nowhere. You've seen it in the history of the NFL. These great, strong, fast wide receivers who say that I'm completely healed and they look great a couple weeks in, and all of a sudden week 4, week 5, they just randomly, a ball is overthrown and they kind of go to relax and it tweaks on them. He could have an amazing season, but that aspect with a hamstring, with a guy who's built for speed, that worries me. That really does. Enough where I dropped him.
Yeah. At number 8, I have A.J. Brown of the Tennessee Titans. Look, this kid he was off to a full start last year, but man, once he got going, man. 52 catches, 52 for 1,051 yards. He averaged 20 yards a catch.
Yeah.
That is insane. He is a very special talent. I wish they had a better quarterback thrown to him. I don't like Ryan Tannehill. I think he had a out of his mind year. He was like a goalie who just stands on his head all of last season, especially in the playoffs. And so I just think that he's going to bail Tannehill out a lot. So I think he's there, and I think he's going to have maybe another 1,000-yard season as long as he stays healthy. But this kid is something very, very special, and he's going to be fun to watch for a very long time. And hopefully, eventually, they get a quarterback that can actually throw him the ball.
He's really special, and he was in 2 of my first 3 drafts of this list was in my top 10, and he's actually not in my top 10, but only because of the dynamic we just said is the fact that he got really good when Tannehill stepped in. Remember, his ability came in with Tannehill, so there's obviously a connection with him with Tannehill that he didn't have with Mariota, but then that means that the anchor to his success comes in the arm of Ryan Tannehill. Listen, as a Pats fan, I watched him in Miami throw some sparks of greatness and then just garbage. And he had a great year last year, but when you have good weapons, it's easier. But if they start, Mariota's gone. Right. They don't have anyone behind that. So if Tannehill shows the shades of what he's not good at, you're asking some run-of-the-mill backup. I don't even know who their backup QB is. Do you?
No.
That's the only thing that worries me. That's why I kept bouncing back and forth. He's an unreal talent. Yeah. But until I know there's a solid quarterback that you can trust day in and day out, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I got you.
But I understand why you did.
At number 7, I'm going with Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks. I think Tyler Lockett is another guy. I think he's a lot like A.J. Brown. I think them two are just unreal talents in the NFL. And he's got Russell Wilson for a quarterback, and he's Russell Wilson's favorite target. And
right there.
he is extremely versatile. He's a great inside receiver. He's a great outside receiver. Yep. He is really, really good. And the Seahawks are going to have a great season like they normally do. And Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league, and he is just he's phenomenal. And Tyler Lockett gets my vote at 7. What about you, boss?
So that's a great pick with that aspect. I have a guy that you don't even have in your top 10. Listen,
DeAndre Hopkins.
You're a son of a bitch. Stephon Diggs is my number 7 wide receiver going into the season. Listen, Stephon Diggs and Allen, there's already been plenty of hype videos, but even behind-the-scene videos of these two, Diggs was already a fantastic start, but he had to balance that out, obviously, with Thielen and a little bit of the tight end aspect that went up and down in Minnesota. But he is the star in Buffalo. And think about how decent of a year Allen had, but a lot of that rushing around for 600 yards and 9 touchdowns came down to the point that he didn't have a number 1 threat. I mean, Cole Beasley.
I don't know if Jared's fucking with you here or not, but he might be breaking some news.
Yeah, no, that might be accurate. I mean, they need 87 minutes turnaround. They probably just took the next game in line. That's okay. I officially, is that 11 Eastern? If so, that sucks because I have something going on from 10 to 12. But as of 12 Central tomorrow, I am on vacation until Tuesday morning, baby. So that's fine. That's fine if that's accurate. But that just shows this game is just insane. 5th overtime tied at 2, by the way. No, to get Stephon Diggs all of a sudden goes from a slash number 1 next to Thielen, depending on Cousins' day, to Allen's number 1 guaranteed. And we saw what Allen could do when Tom Brady, we talked about it in the quarterback list. He did so well with that offense. It's molding around him, but they didn't have – I mean, Brown is a great wide receiver. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, Stephon Diggs is just your perennial number 1. And I think Allen is already just so connected with him. And he's made it very clear how much happier he is. I think, especially with the challenges. And not only that, New England, half their defense is decided not to play this year. So you've got the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots defense, which last year Patriots defense, you couldn't say that against.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Diggs is just going to have an explosive season. I really do. And I think it's going to make Allen even a better quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I went on ESPN. I still don't see anything for the change of time, but that doesn't mean much. So, but yeah, no, Diggs is one of those guys who is special. Buffalo was already trending up. That the addition of Diggs just makes them that much better. Again, this list is just, it's so ridiculous. And Jared, to your point here, look, AJ Brown with Tannehill makes your top 10, but what best wide receiver in football? Look, he wasn't even the best wide receiver last year, and he had Deshaun Watson. He had a down year last year. A lot of people forget that. He had Deshaun Watson as his quarterback. He's very, very much overhyped. Is he a solid, great wide receiver? Yes. Is he a top 20 wide receiver? Yes. But he's not a top 10.
Oh, my God.
So, moving on.
Soap. Did you ever wash your mouth out with soap? Because I'm about to do it if you keep this up.
I don't know. My mom's watching tonight, and you called me a son of a bitch, so she already doesn't like you. But anyway, at number 6, I have the guy that you had at number 9. I have Devontae Adams. Look, I understand the toe injury from last year, and I hate having a Packer on my list. You know I'm a Bears fan, and I hate the Packers like I hate the Cardinals. But look, even with his freaking toe injury last year, the guy is still a top 3 type wide receiver. I like him to Mike Smith. I think he's very physical. I think he's got great hands. I think that if he stays healthy for this season, I think he get better than Mike Williams.
Pause. As great as what you're saying is on the breaking news, Big 12 is moving forward with their fall schedule. ACC, SEC,
Oh, wow.
Big 12. Let's do this. Super Conference. Hook them. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That actually is great news. That's hey, maybe we'll get some college football after all.
Yeah.
So again, Devontae Adams. Look, if I think Green Bay is going to have a down year, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think they're going to have a great year or a down year. But I think Devontae Adams he's the only weapon that he has.
Exactly.
So as being the only weapon on a team with a quarterback the caliber of an Aaron Rodgers, look, you're going to stack up the numbers, and you are going to be a guy who's going to put up top 10 numbers. And I think that if you put Devontae Adams, and we'll talk about this here in a few minutes, but if you put Devontae Adams in that same wide receiving core that
Drew Brees.
I'm
stealing the words right up. Yeah.
Yeah. If you put him in that same offense over there, I think he puts up, maybe twice the numbers as Mike Thomas. I think he's that good. Maybe not twice the numbers, but you get what I'm saying. I think he put up better numbers.
Do you know what the taste of Dawn soap tastes like, sir? Like, you're just pushing it with this.
Oh, who's your number 6?
I don't disagree with the aspect that he put up amazing numbers with Drew Brees, but double the numbers of the guy that just broke NFL record numbers. Jeez. Yes, Bruins.
Here's another shocker. He's not my number 1.
Yeah, well, whoop-de-doo. Bruins Hurricanes is moved until 11 o'clock. So for all of my New England fans, Bruins fans,
11
Carolina
Eastern or
fans,
11 Central?
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 10 Central, right when I have a big, huge 2-hour meeting.
I'll keep you posted. I'll send you a message.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm working from home a little this week, so maybe I can push it off to the side, but it'll be hard to not pay attention to it. Okay, number 6, right? Number 6?
Yeah.
Let's get on this. Number 6. Number 6 to me, listen, this is going to drive people nuts. I get in so many debates about this guy. He is every year a top 10 wide receiver. He makes his quarterback, who I'm a big fan of because of where I come from, better than he is. He is a fantastic player year in and year out, and if you have the chance to draft him when he came in, you will do it, period. But, I think he gets a little bit too much credit that he deserves because he drops. There you go, Courtney. That's right. Big 12. This man drops too many big passes. For a guy his size, he shouldn't be dropping too many big passes. It's not a couple. It isn't just during one playoff game. He does it a lot. So it's why I got him out of my top 5. Julio Jones is my number 6 wide receiver going into the 2020 season. He's getting older. And he just drops way too many passes. And Calvin Ridley, as a rookie last year, though he had some up and downs, showed that now that he understands the game a year in, he's going to be far more secure with that ball and being able to catch that ball from Matt Ryan. Matty Ice is getting old. He's going to want to make sure that he's successful. Doesn't mean that Julio Jones is still not going to have over 1,000 yards, still catch 85, 90 balls, still have 5, 6 touchdowns, which is still putting him in the top 10. But Julio Jones is not a top 3 wide receiver, in my opinion. He drops way too many balls for a guy his size. And I pissed off Mr. Soapy Mouth.
Look, you can say whatever you want about me not having, Hopkins out there. Look,
Hopkins might be a top 20 wide receiver.
That is
6. I didn't even keep him at my top 10.
That is a blasphemous number to put Mr. Julio Jones at, but whatever.
At least I put him in my top 10.
At number 5, I have Mike Evans, somebody who you don't even have in your top 10. And here's why. He was already a top 10 guy. And for as much flack as Brady gets for his arm, Evans is going to be his best deep threat.
He will.
Evans is absolutely phenomenal. He's going to be the best deep threat Tom Brady's had since Randy Moss. And you remember what those two did, don't you? They were setting record upon record. They went 18-0 and then went to the Super Bowl. Granted, they lost that Super Bowl, but they were still 18-0 heading into that Super Bowl. And having Godwin line up on the opposite side of him only makes him scarier. So I don't know how you don't have Mike Evans in your top 10. I have him at number 5. The guy is just look. He's a phenomenal talent, and he was a phenomenal talent with a guy who people yell at me for saying is a top 10 quarterback, which is Jameis Winston. But now he gets Tom frickin' Brady. He gets to play with Tom frickin' Brady. Not to mention you still have Gronk at tight end. You have Godwin lining up opposite from him. It's going to open him up so much. Mike Evans is going to put up some ridiculous numbers this year over in Tampa Bay. Mark my words.
Mike Evans last year caught 67 passes for 1,157 yards. Good stats. He's a long threat wide receiver. You're 100% right in everything you said. But because his specialty is long only, and Brady is so deeply in love with wide receivers built like Godwin, and Gronk is his best friend, he's not going to want to throw to him as often deep. Moss was a different beast. You put him at your number one wide receiver of all time for a reason. That you would throw. I mean, how many times do we see Brady throw in triple coverage, especially against the Jets, which I love, to Moss? He's not going to throw in triple coverage to Mike Evans. He's not going to, because you will have if Mike Evans has 2 or 3 guys on him, Godwin or Gronk are going to be wide open. OJ Howard's going to be wide open, for crying out loud.
Yeah. I get it. Who did you have at 4?
You didn't get my 5.
Oh, I'm sorry, 5.
My number 5 was the guy that you had a little bit down on the list, and it's too bad to me because I think that he could be even better. But the fact of the matter is, he is his quarterback's number one target. That offensive line, though better, still it gives a challenge where it hurts him just a little bit because his quarterback gets hurt by it, and that's Tyler Lockett. The guy is just a stud. He's just an absolute stud that has every bit of value and trust from Russell Wilson, who is every single year a MVP candidate. I don't care what people say. People that just think that he's not good just because the Seahawks all of a sudden didn't march back to the Super Bowl don't watch football just to see how good Russell Wilson is. But Russell Wilson isn't making Tyler Lockett good. He's getting the benefit of a Tyler Lockett type player because he could trust him inside, outside, crossing the field, post patterns, in and out, anything. And not only that, but Tyler Lockett, he will seal the edge on runs. That's why I don't think Penny and Carson are that good, because I think they got a guy like him out there that are actually sealing the edges on some of those runs. And then they're getting caught 20 yards a little bit downfield. Those extra 10, 15 yards are because Tyler Lockett. I want to put him so much higher than 5. I so badly
love
do.
Tyler Lockett. I do.
He's so good. He's so good.
He is.
And that West Coast aspect is why both Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett don't get the attention they both deserve.
He's absolutely capable of putting up number one wide receiver number.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
All right, so who do you have at number 4?
Number 4, because I'm not a schmuck like you, even though he is, to me, the number one wide receiver in the NFL going into 2020, my number 4 wide receiver is DeAndre Hopkins. Listen, Deshaun Watson is – I get it. I live in Oklahoma, and this is going to piss off all my OU friends. And I know a lot of people are like, wow, he did such great things because he had some good games. Kyler Murray, to me, was not as impressive as people make him out to be. When you go back and watch film on him, he had some great throws. He had some great games where he kept them in when they shouldn't be. But that doesn't make him this big game, stat number-driven quarterback. It really doesn't.
He really is, and people say, "Oh, he really is too small to be a quarterback in the NFL."
He's too small. Now, as a New England guy, we loved rooting on Doug Flutie. It was great when Doug Flutie came in and won those games that were that they should have been in, right, and doing all these things. But there's a reason Doug Flutie didn't keep doing it, is because at some point he was too small. And Kyler Murray, to me, you have to be able to do the things that Drew Brees does, because Brees is taller than him, but he's still technically short. Brees knows how to bounce and keep his head up and get his head over his offensive line to make the throws. Kyler Murray doesn't do that. He immediately starts to run out with his hips going east and west, which is going to be big. DeAndre Hopkins is going to come sliding underneath, hitting those. But guess who's going to probably come sliding underneath and catching those balls more? Larry Fitzgerald is still in Arizona. They're not going to make Larry Fitzgerald go running down the field now at full sprint where he's that old. DeAndre Hopkins will be. and Kyler Murray will not be able to make all those throws. He's the number one wide receiver to me in football.
Yep.
But Watson was a better quarterback throwing to him. It's gonna hurt his numbers, and I think he gets under 100 catches this season.
I agree, and that's why I didn't have him in my top 10.
Well, that's just stupid.
He was still
That's
if
just
he was
dumb.
still with the Texans, he'd be in my top 10. I promise you. But
He'd probably be 10th.
for me, Kyler Murray, I think he'd be a little bit higher than 10th because
Might be 9th.
8th. But anyway, I have Tyreek Hill at number 4 with the Chiefs. The guy is just, he's a human joystick. He is absolutely unbelievable. A couple tough injuries with him last year. The hamstring injury, like you alluded to earlier, the heel injury. I get it, but Tyreek Hill in that offense with Patty Mahomes and the way that they're going to open things up for him is absolutely going to put up some video game type numbers if he can stay healthy. That is a big if, and I get it. And for me to rank a guy so high with all these injuries, I understand, people arguing with it, but I'm going off the assumption that he is healthy. And if he is healthy, the guy is going to put up massive numbers. There's going to be a lot of yards gained. There's going to be a lot of touchdowns in his future. So I've got Tyreek Hill at number 4.
Yeah. Like I said, he could very well be top 3 wide receiver when the season's over. It's just that hamstring is so important to a guy with his speed. It really is. So it worries me. But he could come out and be number 2, number 3 wide receiver in the league, and I'd be like, doesn't shock me. Doesn't shock me.
We're going at number 3, and I think this might be where you yell at me again. But I have Mike Thomas at number 3 with the Saints. Look, I've said this before. It was my argument.
Depends on how you have the first 2. I don't think it's a bad pick.
It was. I have Mike Thomas at number 3 because for me, and I said this with Alvin Kamara, the numbers that you put up with that Saints offense, to me, I have to take a little bit off of them just because there are so many weapons on your team. And it's like a hitter in baseball. If you're hitting, 4th for the Miami Marlins right now, it's a whole lot different than hitting 4th for the New York Yankees. You're going to see a whole lot more action. You're going to get open a lot more if you're on the New Orleans Saints because they have so many weapons. They can't play you like most defenses can play most teams, and they have to play you one-on-one. Mike Thomas is a great wide receiver. The guy does not drop passes. He catches everything that is thrown to him.
So is DeAndre Hopkins, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
At any rate, the guy set records in the NFL. He is great. The other 2 guys that I have ahead of him, look, they've put up great numbers as well. They didn't set NFL records, but they also didn't play on the most high-powered offense in the world, like Mike Thomas gets to. And I think we're about to get a penalty shot here in the 5th overtime. And if they don't give it to him, then it's a joke. But at any rate, sorry, got sidetracked here. But no, Mike Thomas, look, I love the guy. I really do. But I think that if he plays, for let's say a Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or if he plays for a Houston Texans, I think he gets brought back down to earth a little bit and doesn't put up the numbers that he does get to put up in New Orleans. So that's why I have him at number 3 and not number 1. And you'll hear my top 2 after Soup Boss goes with his number 3.
Okay, I don't, and I know you thought I was going to be super upset about that aspect, and obviously he's on my list, and higher. And I'll explain why I have him higher, but I don't disagree with you as a whole. But I'll get into that just a little bit. My number 3, which I think is actually going to make you more mad than your number 3 made me mad, is Godwin on Tampa Bay. Listen, Godwin would have been my number 1 pick at wide receiver. In fact, was my number 1 pick at wide receiver because Tom Brady loves wide receivers like him. I already said it. Edelman, Welker, those guys are slot guys. Deion Branch. Think of all the wide receivers that are built just like Godwin. He loves them. They have the speed and versatility and the smarts. They can make the cuts. They aren't just deep threats. They can
Let
make
me
the cross
stop you
moves and
real
everything.
quick, and we're going to save some time because I'm just going to let you go. This is my number 2.
Okay.
So you're about to say everything that I'm going to say, so I'm just going to let you say it. And this is also my number 2.
He would have been number 1 for me until the day we found out that Rob Gronkowski came out of retirement. Gronk is the X factor. I already said it, the aspect with Mike Evans. But it also, even if you were like, hey, listen, Gronk isn't going to catch as many balls as he did in New England, that's still a versatile weapon you're adding to a team that's already loaded with a bunch of other weapons. And I'm sorry, this sounds weird, but remember, Tom Brady's smart. LaShawn McCoy getting on that team, I know he's a running back, but the amount of times that he may hit Godwin on a cross and instead he's going to see McCoy, who's super smart, knowing how to chip and go out, Brady's going to dump that off. He's not dumb. I hate when people shit on him for that.
Gronk woke up with a concussion this morning, so he's probably already out.
He lost his WWE belt. So
yeah.
No, I mean, listen, if Godwin at the end of the day ends up, it's the same thing. If he ends up number 1, wouldn't shock me, but I think the weapons are going to make it where it hurts him a little bit.
And like I have him at number 2. He might be number 1 next year after a year with Brady. And I wrote down actually what you just said. He's the ideal wide receiver for Tom Brady.
He is.
He is, he's that slot guy. He is 591 yards after catch. 500. Yeah. I mean, that's a massive amount of yards
after catch. That's a Brady type of guy.
You have an Edelman type guy who can go across the middle and then do things that Edelman couldn't do and break tackles and get away with things. Look, Godwin is going to put up spectacular numbers. And yes, having Mike Evans and having Gronk there are going to take a little bit away from his targets, but not enough to where he is not going to put up superstar status numbers for sure. Who's your number 2?
Here it is, okay? Listen, we talk about it. You just said it with Mike Thomas, Mr. Combs, about the aspect of the person throwing to him and the system that's there. Drew Brees throws to him. The system is set up for him to succeed. What about wide receivers or any player in any system that succeed when the whole national mindset is that the offense or the system they're in is a bleeping joke or the leader is a joke or shouldn't be in that way? I'm going to give you a couple stats. Let me see if real quick you can guess my number 2. 98 catches, 1,217 yards, 7 touchdowns in what was considered a joke. Think of those stats in a joke offense. Who is that?
Is that my boy Allen Robinson?
Allen Robinson, with a guy who everyone said was an absolute bum.
I had him at 10. Tampa Bay just won.
They did just win. Wow, 5th overtime. Took the thunder out of this aspect. Congratulations to 5th overtime. 9:33 to go in the 5th overtime. I feel terrible for Columbus, but wow, what a game. But Allen Robinson, I mean, think about that. Think about those numbers. And we all sit here on Sports Soup. We talk about there's so many memes that get thrown out about the joke of Mitch Trubisky. You got the guy who way overthrew his buddies' diamond ring. They're like, Mitch goes out for a pass. Like, who do you trust more, Mitch Trubisky or this boulder? And yet he had 98 catches for 12, 17, and 7 touchdowns. This guy, I know he came out of Jacksonville, and people were like, well, he didn't live up to it. There's not a lot of people outside of my boy Minshew that actually live up to anything in Jacksonville. And he went up to a system in which they said was garbage last year and was a top 3 wide receiver. And because of that, I take your Michael Thomas point and flip it on its head. And he's going to probably deal with a funk a game or two when they figure out if it's Mitch. Either Mitch is going to mess up early or he's going to be so scared to do well, and then he's going to relax. He's going to mess up halfway, and that's going to mess Allen Robinson up a game or two. But once either Mitch is doing really well because he's scared, or the day that Big Dick Nick steps in, holy cow, Allen Robinson to me is a talent last year that got 0 attention for a season in a garbage offense that he should have been considered in the conversation with those of the DeAndre Hopkins and the Mike Thomases and the Chris Godwins because he didn't play in their offenses.
Yeah, no, I love Allen Robinson. I loved watching him play. That guy is, I mean, he might be the best wide receiver the Bears have ever had.
Potentially.
And imagine if he had a quarterback that could actually hit a wide open wide receiver. There were so many times that Allen Robinson was open last year where I just watched the ball either get thrown 3 yards short or 3 yards long. Just unbelievable. The guy's a great route runner.
He could have had 130. He could have had 130 catches last year. If Mitch was doing half his job.
Absolutely. I like that pick. I had him at 10.
That doesn't shock me.
No, I like him hey. I'm all right with you having him at 2. I hope he is a number 2 wide receiver. At number 1, I'm going to go first here, and I have a guy who you had way down on your list, and I have Julio Jones. Look, Julio Jones I know he's 31, but he hasn't shown any signs of slowing down. Slowing down at all. Even in an underachieving Falcons offense, the guy still puts up numbers. He still produces year in and year out. He's got, breakaway speed. He's extremely physical, probably the most physical wide receiver that I've seen in the game in probably the last 10 to 15 years. Such a physical guy. He's got the height. The guy, and look, I get it. The Falcons always find a way to lose. The Falcons always do this. The Falcons always do that. I get it. But through all of that, their one constant numbers come from Julio Jones. And Julio Jones is still the best wide receiver in football heading into the 2020 season. What say you, Soup Boss?
You're so freaking delusional with that. Just like everyone puts him way too high. And again, I put him at 6. But you're like, he had 99 catches for 1,300 yards and 6 touchdowns. The guy I just put at number 2 was at that minus 100 yards. And everyone's going to be shocked with that pick of it. But then you look at so many other players in other systems. He had Calvin Ridley right next to him. As much as I don't think he's this MVP candidate I'm sorry, Atlanta fans, you're delusional. Matt Ryan's not an MVP candidate quarterback. He's still a damn good quarterback. You are right, 100%. I think you're right. He is one of the most physical wide receivers I've ever watched. I love watching him go down and just make corners just get off me, get off me, get off me. But here's the problem. Then when he would put his arm around and go for the ball, compared to guys like Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson, he drops the ball too often when there's not even hands in there. It just what hurts me. I'm not saying he's not one of the greatest wide receivers ever. He's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. But I've watched games where I'm just like, how did you drop that ball, Julio Jones? You should have caught that ball.
Look, I get why people are down on him, and I do understand the thing. But for me, it's kind of like for me, it's a Tom Brady situation. I think that until he shows me signs that he's done, I have a hard time knocking him out of the number 1 spot. He's been consistent. His numbers haven't fluctuated, even though they've been underachieving since they made that Super Bowl and blew that 28-3 lead.
He's not the player that he was in 2014, 2015, especially 2015. 136 catches, 1,800 yards. I get it. That was one of the better wide receiver seasons in that whole decade. Really was. By 83, 88, yes, he had 113 catches and then 99 last year. I get it. He's still one of the best wide receivers we've seen, but you're not. When you said people are down, when I did all my research on this, and you know that you and I did so much in all the drafts, I couldn't find a list where he wasn't in the top 3. And I tried telling myself, why do you have him at 6? And you are the number 1 wide receiver. That playoff game in Philly, you don't drop that ball.
Yeah.
Randy Moss doesn't drop that ball. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't drop that ball. Calvin Johnson doesn't drop that ball. And that play, everyone knows it. Go watch regular season games. He does that 2-3 times in a game where he would keep the offense on the field and the defense out longer, and he fails to hold on balls he should. That's my only reason for it.
Who's your number 1?
My number 1, obviously, if you sat here and you listened to it, and yes, Allen Robinson probably shocked some people, but to me, Michael Thomas is my number one. And I know you gave great reasons why he shouldn't be your number one. But I'm going to flip that and say that because of the reasons you say it is why he's number one. I am not saying that physically, mentally, and all these other aspects that Michael Thomas is better than what we saw at Allen Robinson, Tyler Lockett, which we both bragged about his skill set and his trust and everything. But there's something about the aspect of when you have Drew Brees who benefits you that makes you a great star, and we've seen it with so many players. But here's the difference. So many players that we see go down the field and hit the gap 25, 30, 40 yards, they either put their arm up in the air or they finish out the route or they kind of wait and they look, even in Drew Brees' offenses. I sat there and watched so many highlight reels of Michael Thomas, 40 yards down the field, spinning around his corner, getting him to shift off, faking like he was going to hop up to get the safety to bite back, and then coming back, and found a way to create a zone for himself 40 yards down the field. That wasn't one highlight. That was easily 15 highlights where he was doing things like that. And when you already have a mega ultra star quarterback like Drew Brees, think about how much easier that makes a guy like Drew Brees who can throw it with pinpoint accuracy when you can find a way 40 yards down the field to not just run out your route or just hope you got more speed at the corner and you get open like a Tyreek Hill, but actually create a play that far down the field. That's what Michael Thomas did. I don't think he's going to have the stats he had last year.
Yep.
But if I'm going to put, like, for instance, I know we don't do this in fantasy, but if we do it in the aspect of where I think he's going to be because Drew Brees is still throwing to him and he does those things, he's my number one. He's my number one.
Yeah, I got it, and I get it, and I get the argument for it. It's kind of the same argument in the opposite way that I have for not having Hopkins in my top 10. And I get the anger, and I get where everybody thinks that, this guy. But this guy, DeAndre Hopkins, I don't see him getting in the end zone more than 4 times this year. I don't see him catching more than 60 balls, and I don't see the Cardinals winning more than 3 or 4 ball games.
What bet do we already have? Don't we have a $20 bet on something? I think we have a $20 bet on something. I can't remember what it is. I want another $25 bet. Heck, let's do this. I think we should do this as we're building our platform, like some shows do. I want to put a $25 bet on what you just said right now, and the person that has to pay it up goes to one of the people that we want to support. Let's do it that way, so it's just not cash exchange. $25 that DeAndre Hopkins has more than 60 catches this season in Arizona. You said you didn't think he was going to hit 60.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Were we on 6? Episode 6. $25 goes to a group that we are supporting.
Who's your number 2 wide receiver?
What?
Who's Arizona's number 2 wide receiver?
Larry Fitzgerald.
And Larry Fitzgerald's what, 720 years old?
Exactly.
Okay.
So DeAndre Hopkins going to get the catches because Larry Fitzgerald's getting old.
No,
he's getting old. If this was 5 years
what
ago,
Hopkins is going to get double team.
If this was
that's what Hopkins is going to get. A lot of double teams.
How many times did he get double or triple teamed in Houston?
Have no run game. They have no offensive line. They are in a lot of trouble. And DeAndre Hopkins isn't going to bail them out like everybody thinks he's going to because he's their only valuable weapon.
Do you think that he was only solo teamed in Houston? How many highlights was he double teamed on? How many times did he only have one guy on him, but the actual zone defense called for 2 to 3 guys around him, but he got away from them?
Well, you're going to
60 catches, $25.
You're giving me $25 to go towards the Till Valhalla project here at the end of the NFL season. But we're going to be
a21.org.
Perfect. So we're going
the fight against human trafficking.
Yeah, hey, that's another great cause. So I definitely I'll probably just do $25 just to do it anyway, even though I'm going to win the bet. So we are going to take a quick break here, and then when we get back, we are going to go through Way or No Way, and then we will get to our Shop Talk segment. So stay with us, guys, and we will see you back here in about 30 seconds or so.
Get on, guys. Talk to us.
What's going on, Triple Shot Sports family? This is Brandon Combs, host of the best podcast on the planet. That's the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Be sure to join myself and Soup Boss Chad Lounder live for 2 hours. Yes, I said 2 hours every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page and YouTube. And if you miss any part of the show, you can hear us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on your drive home at 5 p.m. Eastern on rtfsportsnetwork.com. All right, guys, we are back. And it is time for our way or no way segment. And we all know how this works. I come up with a few different topics, and then we either say way or no way, whatever we believe about the topic, and we'll talk about it briefly. And then we will get to our Shop Talk segment, which is all for you guys, our live viewers. So start chiming in now. Let us know what you guys want to talk about.
Get in there. Sports Soup. Let's go. Get in there.
So the first way or no way, we talked about this a little bit earlier with the NCAA, but college athletes that get shut down should automatically be eligible for their sports draft, regardless of class that they are in. Now, I'm not just talking football. This is basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever it is that you're in. If you're in collegiate athlete and you're missing your season because of this COVID thing and because the NCAA is deciding to shut down, you should automatically be eligible for your draft, even if you're a freshman.
Wait, 100%. Listen, we talk about this, about when we talked last week about the salary of players, one of the things we briefly brought up was the average amount of years that these players get to play. And we know we have the guys like the Tom Brady's and everything like that. We're like, oh, they've been here 15, 20 years. Most players don't play that long. And when they go later into their collegiate career, on average, they play a year or two less in the professional level. You are taking a year away from them without them having any choice but to be able to say, you have to look at my previous year, or I have to wait a year to go back out and prove myself again. Most of these guys that are already tagged for potential, even if it's a 6th round in the NFL because of what they did last year, if they're being told that they have the opportunity to go in, even if they were a freshman, and you take the season away, that's out of their control, 100%. If they have the season taken away and they don't have the ability to play, let them go into the draft.
Yeah, I say way as well. Look, I've heard other options floated out there. There's a lot of guys that I follow on Facebook and Twitter, and one of the best ones that I saw actually said that, you either make these guys, these freshmen, eligible for 6 years of playing time, or let them redshirt, let them decide to redshirt this year. I like that if you're going to make them stay in college. And if they decide to stay in college, that should be. But if they want to go to the draft, absolutely let them go to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a way. There are guys 100%. Who come from these areas and these lifestyles where this is what they have and this is their dream, and they've worked so hard, so unbelievably hard to get to where they are, and to have this taken away just because you don't want to play the games and because you made billions with a B last year, so you're not going to be from the money aspect. You're going to take the season away from these guys. Let them go to the draft. Forget about the age restrictions this year. You want to do something for these kids? You want to show that the kids are actually what you care about? Let them go.
Bingo. That's a heck of a great point. If you really want to say that you are all about these kids with the aspect of this COVID and you're protecting them, protect them in a way that if they have a shot to make it in professional sports, they can. Because we're cheering them on as athletes. And I know the percentage of all these players of being able to get in. But if they have the chance to do it, why are you forcing them to have to wait on your decision to make them play another year? It makes no sense. If you truly care about them, and there's a team saying, listen, we already saw what we got to see. We think that you could definitely come and play. Yeah, you aged a year. We could get you in here, get you into shape. If you care about them, let them go make a living doing this.
Absolutely.
Period.
All right, so the next one here.
Great point, man.
Thank you. We're touched on this a little bit earlier as well. I'm going to change this one up a little bit. So originally the question was, should they be forced? So if the Cardinals are unable to resume play on Friday against the White Sox and they're unable to play in this series, they should either be forced to call up their minor leaguers and form a team, or they should be forced to forfeit their season.
Well, I'm going to say away on one of them. You gave two options there, and I know you kind of changed it up because we talked about it, but I'm going to say no way on forfeit the season. I think that's just a bull. You opened a season already knowing all the potential issues that were going to happen. Part of the issues, as I keep bringing up, is that you have grown children, mentally wise, playing these sports. The other three sports are not hockey, and some baseball teams are a little bit better than NBA and NFL, but you're going to have it. But heck yeah, listen, you went out and you did something dumb. We just saw it in the suspension of the Houston bench coach and everything. You did something dumb, you get suspended. Well, you did something dumb, your team can't play. We need this to go through. We shortened this season out. We're not going to extend the season out. And that's the thing. I heard you bring it up. Some people are like, well, you extend the season. No, the point is you gave a 60-game season and told the players this is how long we're going to play. You don't drag this into January.
Yeah.
I think you're 100. I thought that was a great point that you made. Way on bringing up those AAA players because they're chomping at the bits. Remember, their season got canceled. That doesn't mean they're still not in this team's organizational group on the ladder. You want to be a stupid dumbass? You want to be a jackass and go out when you know that this was potentially something that could happen? All right, sorry, Skippy. Go home. We're going to let Jimmy John over here come in and make his dream come true. He gets lit up, but at least a game is played and there's a record because Pittsburgh Pirates are doing the same thing.
This is a way on all accounts because, and for exactly the reason you brought up, you came into the season and you knew what was going on in the world. You knew. The Cardinals knew before they went to the club, before all them players went to the club and did what they knew. Grown children or not, you are still a $1 million paid athlete, and you were asked for 72 days. 60 games in 72 days to give up for 72 days. Don't go do anything stupid. And now you're sitting there, you're not playing games, and you're still collecting a paycheck. Because you were too immature to sit there and say, you know what, we probably shouldn't go to this club. We probably shouldn't hang out with all sorts of different people right now because we are trying to do something that we fought for. You guys fought to play this season. You guys fought the owners to get out on the field. And
Manfred didn't want it.
That you come out here and this is the way that you want to do this? No, absolutely not. Either put together your AAA, AA, single A. I don't care who you got to get out there. Get everybody you got to get out there that's able to play and let them play or forfeit your damn season.
My only counter on that real quick is because we always put them in that you are a $1 million ball player and you got this situation and you know. We as Americans love to sit on our couch and say this. Do you know what my favorite memes are on the internet around February? Look at what I spent with my tax return money. We as Americans that sit on our ass are supposed to understand when you get a tax return and it's money, you invest it. You pay off your bills. What do? We go buy the biggest, dumbest shit in stores to get our retail economy up because when money flows in, you think differently. And I'm so tired of it being put on athletes like it's different. When you and me think differently when we get more money in our pockets. So that's all I'll say.
Show some leadership. Somebody on that
team. I agree.
Yadier Molina needs to step up and be like, which one of you guys did it and whoop their ass. Look at these jerseys I have behind me. Look, I have Mike Schmidt and Andre Dawson. Okay? What do you think these two would have done to any of their guys that would have gone out and played during it? Mike Schmidt would have freaking put one of them in their locker and beat them until they cried.
Dawson would have shoved a cleat so far up their ass you wouldn't have found it for 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
I get that. 100%. I don't disagree.
These guys, I get it, but they're still grown men.
They're grown men, but I'm just sick and tired of us acting like we know better than they do once they get money. Because we don't when we get money. I'm sorry. It's not true.
Nah.
It's not true, man.
All right. Moving on. The NFL season will be a success. Now, we've had a bunch of guys opt out, and we've had a bunch of players talk about opting out. We've talked about all the different things that they should do, that they could do, that, all these different things. Will the NFL season be a success?
Way. 100% way for me. And here and I get the aspect of the fact that right now they don't have a bubble system. But let's also remember they canceled the preseason and they're still looking at stuff. You and I have brought this up. Should they look at what other teams? There's no way that the NFL, with how they've built this brand, are not looking at the other leagues and going, okay, MLB's having this issue, but the NHL and the NBA don't seem to be having it. And the NBA is loaded with egos. And we know we've got egos in our league. You know darn well they're figuring they're working on something. They're not just like the Big Ten and just going, what? We didn't even put a plan together. Screw this. It won't work. No, they're working on it. But not only that, remember, we've talked about this. The NFL is already number one, but when you're a giant and you see your opportunity to just snap the neck of everyone underneath you, that's why they still had the draft. They figured it out virtually. Yeah. They still have free agency. They even with this, think about it. When they were like, well, we're going to bump up the opt-out, people lost their minds. And guess what happened? Who was the number one trending thing? It wasn't the NHL playoffs. It wasn't even the NBA playoffs. It was the NFL because they were like, well, we're going to bump up our opt-out date on you guys. And the players lost their minds and everyone talked about it. It's going to be successful. Please, dear God, let me be right on this way. It's going to be successful.
I agree. It's going to be successful. I've said it before and I say it again. They have they don't have Rob Manfred as their commissioner. They have a guy who's got a God complex. He's going to have them play. He's going to make this a successful season, regardless of how many players opt out. If they keep opting out players, I guarantee you he's going to go raid XFL locker rooms to get players in jerseys, and they're going to have a season. Will they have fans in the stands the entire season? Probably not, but they will have a season. They will be on TV. They will be making money.
I was going to say, raise your hand if the NFL gets on TV and you're going to make sure you're asked, especially if there's a challenge, there's a thought process that the NFL could play Thursday through Monday. Are you going to watch Thursday through Monday? Raise your hand.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yes.
Speaking of which, real quick, Cubs are on their way to 11-3. They are up 7-1 right now in the 8th. They are tearing it up. The Yankees are up on the Braves right now, 8-4. So that's a
hard one for me.
That was the one that I was going to really look at closely. The White Sox are beating up on the Tigers right now, 8-2 as well.
I think the Tigers are that team that kind of shocked us to start, but they're going to fade out. They're going to fade out.
Detroit and Miami will both come back down to earth.
Yeah, they'll come down to earth. But good for them coming in and showing fight. I told you that. Some of these teams are going to do that. They're going to think, you know what, it's shorter. Let's see how hard we can fight and at least put our name on the map. And right now, Miami Marlins, people are actually talking about them when we thought they'd only be talked about as a joke.
Right. Jared Parrott, 80% of players that opted out of the NFL, bubble players, to even make a team. So they took the money, maybe 3 to 5 players that actually have impact opted out.
You didn't have too many Dante Hightowers. There was a couple in there that were definitely an impact. The Jets had one. The Pats had a couple with Chung and Dante. But you're right. So not only where they weren't a ton of impact, but when you look at the actual total amount of roster players, it's only 3.5%.
Look, I think the Pats players that opted out that were impactful players saw what was coming up, and they're just like, look, I might as well just take this season and take the money and sit out. So that leads into our last way or no way, and we'll get to this really quickly because I do want to get to shop talk here. You would rather have NCAA football and NFL football than to have had a shortened MLB season and NHL and NBA in a bubble.
God, this is you found every way to be like,
look,
let me intertwine 15 different elements and be like, which one of these two? Do you ever watch the movie The Labyrinth?
Up on the great debate last night, and I thought it was a great question.
But yeah, that's a question you go on, not one or the other. I feel like the two doors in the movie The Labyrinth, and you're trying to figure out which one of the two jackasses with the answers here. Listen, the way I saw this question for me, and it came down to this. You put the NFL in both options, right?
Yeah.
So that balances it out.
Well, no. And I missed.
You did.
I misspelled there. It should have been NBA and NHL in the bubble, not NFL.
Oh, so now you threw me for a loop. So if that's the case, oh God, See, now if you'd done that, it would have been harder. Because what I was going to say is you put NFL in both. So then I looked at it, and it was NHL and MLB versus college football. And I love college football, but yeah, heck yeah, I want MLB and NHL. When you do it that way, though,
yeah, now it's a tough question, ain't it?
hey Wayne, what do you think you'd have here? Now it makes sense. And here's a funny thing. I think if you ask the majority of America what they would have here, they'd go NFL and NCAA football. Why? Because football is the most popular thing, right? So I'm going to answer on behalf of America and say that it'd be NCAA football and NFL. But me, the soup boss, that is so hard because my favorite sport to watch on a whole season is the NFL. But God damn, we've sat here this whole time and have interrupted every segment to talk about one single NHL game. And I keep telling you people, it's still $5. Watch hockey.
Yeah.
It is so entertaining. So the fact that you changed that second one, I got to go with NHL.
Yeah.
Boss is going to say the one with the NHL. I think America would choose the first one.
This is definitely a no way for me. I think you're right, though. I think if you put this up to a poll, this should be a poll question. For
you beat me to it.
You know, because I think a majority would pick the NFL and NCAA over baseball and hockey and basketball.
We need your votes. I'm going to put that on. We need your votes.
For me, if I didn't get baseball, if I didn't get the 60-game season, man, I might have, jumped off a high rise or something because I can't go without baseball. I just can't. And then the NHL playoffs are so exciting. We just had a 5 overtime game, and we were only 2 games into the playoff season.
Yep.
Are you kidding me?
Technically.
Yeah, well, yeah, two games into the first round. We're out of the play-in rounds. And I love football. I really do. Like, I love college
my
football.
Favorite.
I love NFL. But for me, it's baseball and hockey and then football. You could have taken NBA out of this question because I give 2 shits about the NBA. But
that's probably why you didn't even type NBA in there because your brain was just like, I will not type in those 3 letters.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why when you sent it to me, I'm like, well, I mean, NFL kind of balances it, so it's just the rest. That's not actually too hard of a decision for me.
Jared says, stop doing polls so we get more followers. I feel like I'm the only one.
Listen,
get your friends to vote, Jared.
We need people to share vote. Listen, Thursday's show last week, we actually had a decent amount of people that voted. Our Sunday show, though, did not have that aspect. So listen, it's not that we need more. Yes, we need more followers, but it showed from the Thursday one we can get the people. I know it's the weekend, but listen. We love talking sports all the time, not just the weekend. Get people on there. Share it. Retweet. And here's the thing about Twitter. Retweet that shit. Retweet it with a comment. Say that this poll is stupid. And put hashtags and throw it up. Get attention to us. And like we said, we're looking for best comment. And we're going to look at comment on live shows and Twitter feeds and everything. Every aspect of you guys interacting with us in some way, shape, or form. We're going to pick the best comment each week and probably get one of you guys on here.
Absolutely. Yep. So we got people commenting.
Let's go, Shop Talk.
Jared said, what did he say here? He said, I'm going to drink one more beer than rally dip for the Sox. Don't let us get hot. Stop, Jared.
You keep saying that, buddy. Listen. Listen. I love my socks.
You just beat the shit out of Wally.
I know. He's a Waldo, baby. He's a green monster. If they get hot, they're going to get hot by winning 2 out of 3 games. Listen, Jared. There's everything in me that wants to say they're going to be great, but you cannot look at this team and the starting rotation and the middle rotation and Workman, even though I'm a Longhorns fan who's from Texas, is our closer. They can't do this. If they do, test that whole damn team for steroids upside and down, even though we've talked about I wouldn't care too much about the results. But
yeah. No, and look, I mean, they're down 4-1 again in the 7th to the Rays right now. So,
right.
Look,
I love your passion, Jay, as a Boston fan.
I get it. But yeah, I mean, I'd be the same way right now if it was the Cubs. But the Cubs are about to be 11-3, so I don't have to be that way. So I kind of, look, I said it last week, and I'll say it again. Look, New England fans, and I just spent the last 15 years in New England. their fan bases drive me nuts because, man, do they love to shove their teams down your throat. And
Because
look,
we love our teams. We
before
love our teams.
You guys didn't even know you had a football team.
No, holy shit.
Look,
I have this fight. No, you better. No. You better put this on Thursday because I sat in a 1-15 fucking season with our fourth fucking quarterback playing the Buffalo Bills and Jim Kelly, and that Foxborough Stadium with my ass frozen to a bleacher was packed, and we were running in the fourth quarter because we were up by one.
All right, so let me.
Rob Kraft bought the team as a fan because he knew we were passionate.
Let me rephrase that. 70% of that fan base didn't know that they had a team before. There are.
I agree. I agree with that.
But a majority are fans that didn't know they had a team before Drew Bledsoe was a quarterback. I found maybe a handful of guys that could name me a quarterback before.
They went to the Super Bowl in '86 against the greatest team in football. I was 5 years old, and I have memories of sitting in my grandparents' living room with that going on, barely knowing what it was, but I knew it was the Super Bowl of the Patriots. Irving Fryer was a huge player for them. Don't even give me that. People knew it. We just knew they sucked. That's the difference. It's like Pittsburgh Pirates fans. They know the Pirates exist. They just know they suck.
Jared said Sunday was a great show. Thank you,
Jared. Buddy.
Appreciate that. We got off of Facebook, man. I was shocked. We had, at the time we had 10 viewers. Woke up the next morning. We had over 400 views just on the Facebook page. So thank you guys who are showing the love. And like I said, man, we appreciate it. We just need a little bit more interaction. While you're there watching, click on that like button. Click on, whatever you got to do, share it. There's always somebody who wants to talk sports. We all know somebody who loves sports. So just share. You never know who else might join you on the show. And then you start bantering with your friends while me and the Super Boss are bantering. So
we're so new. And like I said, Mr. Combs and I, we're making this work every day. And I love the banter that you and I have. And I feel like in just a short time, I've gotten to know you, that you're a friend of mine, Mr. Combs. But listen, I feel like our inside talk, I'm about to let this out, and you may be mad at me, Mr. Combs, and I'm 4 beers in. We have a goal. We want to be the number one viewed team in RTF sports, and we want over 1,000. We want to hit 1,000. That doesn't mean we'd be number one, but our goal right now is to have over 1,000 views. Share. Help us out.
We've got great shows on the RTF Sports Network. We've got shows.
We do. Great shows.
Like Strikeout Beer and Twist, who both have over 1,000 views every time that they're out there. And those are the numbers we want. I mean, I don't know if we get there. I don't know if we're on the level of those shows or not. But, look, we hope to be. We hope to produce what they produce. And for anybody who wants to share it, anybody who wants to like it, anybody who wants to show us love, look, we're always looking to expand. If you got criticism for us, we're open to criticism too. Amen. We want to get better. We want to grow as a show, and we want you guys to interact. Jared says, "I'm over it. I want Rocker from Vandy." Hashtag first pick. Well, I think that first pick is going to the Pirates.
It's going to the Pirates, man.
Yeah.
The Red Sox could call up their AAA team right now, which is pretty much half the team, and they're still somehow going to find a way to beat that Pirates team. They're hot garbage. Yeah. Flaming hot garbage.
They're horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Bad.
I laugh just because I'm not a Pirates guy, but yeah, they're horrible. So let's see, what else do we have? We have I'm looking at
have more. What do we got?
We've got the Blackhawks start at 9:30, so that's the last game of the night. Is the Blackhawks playing the Vegas Knights? What do you think of that series? I think the Blackhawks have a shot. Look, if they can play the way that they played against Edmonton, I really think they have a chance to upset Vegas here. Vegas is a solid team, though, so I'm not expecting much out of the Hawks. But I didn't expect much out of the Hawks versus Edmonton either.
Listen, 100%, because I told you when they were doing really good, I was like, listen, they're doing great. They're shocking me with some things with Edmonton. But let's be honest, when Edmonton, I think it was game 2 or game 3, they kind of...
Barrett says drink more than 4 beers. There's this criticism.
Drink more than 4 beers. We should have a segment called 6-Pack with Soup Boss, and by the time I get to my 6, I'm like,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen, the Golden Knights. Listen, Chicago has a chance. They have a chance because I sat here with Edmonton every time. Well, yeah, but we've talked about that. But every single time, Edmonton, I thought, had control of it. They would just come in and they would do better. But the problem is with it, and I couldn't remember his first name, and that's why I'm looking down, looking up his name. The Golden Knights, if I were to predict, are going to come out on top over your Blackhawks. I'm sorry, Mr. Combs. Mark Stone, if you're getting into hockey, because we keep bashing your brains in about it, look up Mark Stone. He is by and far the most untalked about player who is a full 5-skill player, like top to bottom. Mark Stone knows how to play the game of hockey unlike almost anyone else I've ever seen. And in that last series that the Golden Knights just won, he wasn't even breaking a sweat, and he was easily the best player on the ice, and no one outside the announcers who know hockey talk about him. Mark Stone is great. Hey, listen, will I be shocked if Chicago does it with what they did with Edmonton? Nope, because they controlled 80% of that series. But Mark Stone right now is playing on a level that's unparalleled.
All right, guys, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you guys for joining us again. Again, we love you guys for joining us. We love all the interactions. I can't say it enough. Like, share, subscribe, all the good things that we can.
Hit that bell on YouTube
page. Especially on the YouTube page. Let's get that YouTube page going. I think our Facebook page is going great. Let's start getting viewers over there on that YouTube page. And if you missed any part of the show, certainly join us on the YouTube page or on the RTF Sports Network. You can catch the show tomorrow from 5 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Eastern. They re-air it on the RTF Sports Network. So have a great night, guys, and thank you very much. Soup, you got anything to add?
Go!
Ha-ha, I got the mute button this time. Ha-ha, sucker!
What's going on, Triple Shot Sports? 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All it comes down to today.
This game is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you earned here tonight. Their time is done. It's over.